Hello and welcome to Indiana University Southeast School of Education. This is one of a series of programs to bring you information, ideas, and insights into the IUS School of Education. In this episode, our topic is the ENL program. With us tonight are...
Hi, I'm Donna Albrecht. I'm the Director of Graduate Studies in the School of Education, and I'm also currently the coordinator of the ENL ESL program.
Hi, I'm Perla Zavala. I am a student at IUS in the elementary education program, and I'm also sort of a minor new program, ENL, in that program as well that we're going to talk about today. So.
Hi there, I am Kelly Bernardo, and I am a new addition to the faculty at Indiana University Southeast School of Education. I teach in the ENL ESL program, and I will be the incoming coordinator in the fall of 2022.
Hi, I'm Kyle Gaddis. I'm a graduating senior at Indiana University Southeast in elementary education, the concentration in English as a new language. I am very excited to be here.
All right, thank you guys, and thanks for joining us. Let's just jump right in with this discussion. Dr. Albrecht, can you explain what ENL even is?
Okay, so there are many acronyms in our field. It is like alphabet soup, which you all know. So ENL stands for English as a New Language, and that is an acronym that is similar to English as a Second Language, and the difference being that English as a new language allows for the opportunity for a person to have more than one first language. So it's not just your second, maybe it's your third or fourth, which is very common. So that is what ENL stands for. And we're a licensure program. So we license folks to teach in the state of Indiana for that program. And at our campus, it's an additional license. So for our undergraduates, as these two great folks are, Perla and Kyle, it's a like a minor, but they also get to have an additional license, which is fantastic.
Exactly, and I think what's for elementary folks that are elementary majors, undergrads, is that you can graduate with two licenses. You have your elementary license and you also have your ENL license as well. Perla, what is your area of study? Are you secondary or elementary?
Elementary. Mm-hmm.
What grade would you like to teach?
Honestly, I've been in every grade. I've been in kindergarten and I'm currently in 5th grade, and I love them all. A little bit more work with the littles, but you get more. There's a lot of reward in the kindergarten with that work. With the older kids, with the 5th and 4th graders, you get to have more conversations and you get to have this connection with them that you can't necessarily get in the little grade. So I would be happy to teach anywhere in those grade levels. Yeah.
Sure. Kyle, how about you?
Well, I, like Perla, have run the whole gamut, and that's really one of my favorite parts. One of the most wonderful things about our program is just the variety of different experiences that we've gotten to have throughout our clinical placements. In every semester we are placed with the school, and we are with different kinds of teachers and different kinds of people and different grade levels. And so it's really been, just like Perla, I feel like I could be happy anywhere. But that being said, I do like the littles more. I have most of my experience in either early childhood or early elementary, which is until 3rd grade. So I think kind of in that age range. I think the older kids laugh at me, and then the younger kids laugh with me. So it's just difference.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. As a retired elementary teacher, I love the elementary students as well. Now, Kelly, what exactly would you say is a key component to ENL? What are the areas of study that the students come into, as opposed to just their general elementary, undergrad lessons and classes?
Absolutely. And I want to add one more thing, if that's okay, before we get into that is really unique about our ENL license. It actually is a K-12 license. So I actually am a graduate myself from Indiana University Southeast in the elementary education program with a middle school ELA minor, but my ENL license has allowed me to teach at all levels. So I've worked with elementary students, middle schoolers, and high schoolers. So it really gives you options later on in your career when you want to change and you think you want to try something different, which is just really an added bonus. Because as Perla and Kyle have stated, they've had a lot of experience with different grade levels in elementary, and you never know. Maybe down the road you'll want to try middle school or you'll want to try high school. You never know. But our program, he's saying no. So our program, in addition to that being a really unique, component of that, our students are taking courses around. Let's see, they start with second language acquisition and talking through that component and those pieces. We go into some linguistics, which is a lot of times scary for some of our students, but we've made it so that it is manageable in a way that it's a little bit more classroom based and teaching based. It's not applied linguistics like we would think in a different field. They get into what we call, these are some more acronyms as we have so many of them in our field, but we get into a little bit of SIOP, which is Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol, and WIDA, which are standards specific to the EL world. And then we tie it all together with some best practices and some methods, finishing off with a practicum and really applying all of that knowledge into the teaching, either student teaching for our undergrads or a graduate practicum for our grads. So there's a lot going on within the program. And like I said, it gives you lots of opportunities there once you get completed.
Now, Donna, would you say there's a different approaches to the different developmental ages of the students? Do you approach things differently, say for a kindergarten or a first grader than you would say as an 11th grader, a junior or senior in high school?
Well, so that can get us into the alphabet soup again. So, with our little kids that are coming into kindergarten, now one thing that folks often don't know is that 2/3 of English learners are born in the United States. So it's not necessarily a huge wave of immigration like a lot of times people think. They're born in the United States, they're part of our community, and they come to kindergarten, but they've been at home with a family that spoke a different language. So that's a certain transition, but there's a lot of the way that kindergarten is taught and lower grades are taught anyway. It tends to be very contextualized and very hands-on and very supportive. And that's not always the case, but that's the general case. As you go up in grades, and if students are newcomers, they've got many things to deal with. So they've got not only a different culture if they're older than they've experienced back home. They've got a different language that they may not have any knowledge of. They have also different content knowledge because schools teach differently all over the world, and some of our students have come from refugee situations where perhaps they haven't even been in school for several years. So one of the alphabet soup is students with interrupted formal education. So that's a serious challenge. There's nothing about this that's easy. That you don't learn a language overnight. It takes generally 5 to 10 years to learn a second language at an academic level. So that's not going out to order soup, or telling your taxi driver turn right or turn left. It's at a much higher level. So yeah, there are differences in the way we approach. We have to think of social and emotional care as well, especially for newcomers and really for any of our students that are entering the school system from a different culture. We need to do a much better job as educators and in school systems and being able to welcome those students and really put that burden on us rather than on them.
Yeah, and I want to stress that the ENL program is not learning. You do not have to speak a different language. You do not have to at all.
Thank you for that. Yes, correct.
Perla and Kyle, if you don't mind jumping in here, we kind of covered this ground a little bit earlier, but what made you decide to pursue the ENL licensing and the area of study?
Well, I think that when I started the elementary program, I quickly realized how much diversity there is in our schools. And when I started looking at not only the kinds of schools that I wanted to work in, but the kind of teacher that I wanted to be, I realized that equity was something that would have to be at the forefront of everything that I did. And so it became very apparent to me that I needed to learn as much as I could to help English learners, because those are the students who are so often kind of put to the side, or so often given academic tasks or educational experiences that are not up to par with the students who speak English as their first language. So it really was something that I felt like I needed to do. And it was something that I very quickly became very passionate about. So I'm really happy that that is the way that I chose to go.
Perla, go ahead.
Yes, for me, it was just, I was an ENL student for a long time. I wanted to be that person that maybe I didn't have at all in my elementary education or in my entire education experience, really. I never felt represented by any of my educators. So I just felt like it was really where I belonged. I'm learning a lot from it, and I'm actually learning a lot about myself in my past. So in my, elementary education career, my whole education career, being in this program. So yes, it's just been something that's been very dear to me, and something that's been very personal and has helped me grow as an individual, and also to help those kids that were like me, for them to have someone to look up to that looks like them and sounds like them maybe, and they can understand. So just kind of a natural thing. I feel like I belong here. I needed to be here.
Yeah, Kelly, let me ask you the same question. What drew you to this area of study?
So my path was a little bit different. I grew up from second grade to 12th grade. I took Spanish as a foreign language. And so I had a lot of really great opportunities and some amazing Spanish as a foreign language teachers who did some amazing work, really empowering not only the language development, but also giving us opportunities to learn about culture and art and music and geography and just lots of different places around the world. And so when I, came to IUS as an elementary education major, I knew that I really liked Spanish, but didn't really realize kind of the connection that was going to take place. And there was a study abroad experience that currently is not at Indiana University Southeast, but that I went to multiple years in a row, went and studied abroad and lived in South America, in Ecuador. And that's really where this kind of passion for ENL really bloomed and blossomed in me. And so through that experience, I added on that licensure. And then it really just turned into a passion. The more I learned about how my language skills could then in turn help and support and advocate families and community partners and community needs, in our school area, it really just kind of grew into what it is now. So I didn't really know what I didn't know in the beginning, and I wish I was as smart as you all to do it along the way, but we all ended up in the same place. So it's just been a huge blessing in my life.
And Donna, you?
That's a really long story, but I'll try to give the condensed version. Starts with a 13-year-old typical or average American girl moving overseas to the Middle East, Egypt specifically, moved by her parents, and ending up spending over 20 years of my life in the Middle East, mostly Egypt, some in Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates, but that experience and me being on, I guess you want to say the other side from, what folks experience when they come to the United States, feeling lost, feeling helpless, feeling I can't communicate, feeling confused. And I had the benefit of being able to go to, an American school. So, I mean, I did take Arabic in high school and, continued learning the language over my life being an educator there. But yeah, I mean, my parents were missionaries. And so we spent a lot of time in villages and, places where people did not speak English, and just having that feeling and learning a different culture and messing it up, doing things wrong, insulting people unintentionally, because of my ways and my lack of understanding about culture. And, that's really where I fell into education as a second career, because I started wanting to be some kind of development field, development, developing world, that type of thing, and living in a village and helping people. But I've learned along the way that the best way to do that really is to give people education and allow for them to make their own decisions. And so I ended up in education, as a second career. Shortly after college, I made that decision, and here I am.
Well, I know from my own experience, we adopted my daughter from Russia, and we had to go, and not knowing how anything works, or not knowing, you're at someone else's mercy. And it really instilled in me that empathy, that these are our students. These are our students in our classrooms right now that feel the exact same way. So, that's where it came from. That's my attraction to the program. And I am not in the program. I wish I would have. But, Perla, going forward, what do you think? What's one thing you want to instill in your students regarding, utilizing the ENL, what you've learned in the ENL program? If that makes any sense.
Yes, that anything is possible. Like, don't not go for something because you don't see people like you there, or, that you can really be anything you want to be in this country or anywhere. And to just keep at it, that's what I would say to them, for sure.
Kyle, same question.
That was a beautiful answer, Perla. I would say that you matter. You're just as important as any other student. Your mental health and your emotional and your social emotional well-being matter just as much as your academic skills matter, and that we are here to help you, and I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to work as well as I can to incorporate the things that I'm learning now, these best practices, these acronyms, these things that we're learning. And the great thing about it is that these things work for all kids, that these methods and these strategies that we're learning and these tools that we're learning, these work for all kids. And they work best when they are implemented in a classroom that is integrated, that is where students of all abilities and students of all linguistic gifts are incorporated in the same way that the students who, are making straight A's are, or the students whose way is sort of already, whose path they're already on their way, And so I think that it's just really important that I want to say, not only do you matter, but like you are a part of this just as much as anybody else is, that you don't have to feel separate.
Right. And Kyle, I think you had touched on something earlier, is the equality of education, the equality, making it equal for all learners in the classroom. A lot of the students, as an academic advisor at Indiana University Southeast, and when I basically counsel incoming students, I say, whether or not you really, ENL, whether you end up teaching ENL or not, it's going to make you a better teacher, because you are going to learn aspects that will help you become a better reading teacher or history teacher or anything like that. Kelly, you or Donna want to touch on that as well, some of the things that are incorporated in the program that make you a better teacher overall?
Sure. So I'm reflecting on some students that I have currently that have been teaching for 15, 20, 25 years, and they're in our graduate program. And they're population around them in Seymour has really exploded over the last couple of years when it comes to English learners. And we have some really great content that's built into our courses. But for me, the part that I really take personally is when we get into that student teaching or into that practicum section of the program, to really have the opportunity to do one-on-one coaching with those teachers and really help them one-on-one develop those lesson plans, implement those lesson plans, have some guided reflection. And it's powerful to see specifically these teachers that have been teaching in content areas for many, many years, having feedback and saying, I wish I would have known 20 years ago what I know now. I've been this high school English teacher for 25 years. And if I would have only known, I'm thinking about all of the kids I could have helped better or more. And it's really powerful to see those content teachers, especially, in elementary. We teach a little bit of everything, right? Because I was in elementary, so we teach all the content, but especially those middle and high school teachers that have specialized in a math or in a science or, maybe in a music or something, to really talk with them and coach them through what this looks like in their classrooms. One of the founding principles of WIDA is that every teacher is a language teacher. Like, it doesn't matter what you're teaching, there's language in the PE class, there's language in the agriculture class, there's language in the math class. And I think that is often forgotten when you get maybe outside of that EL world, that it affects everybody. And we're here to help along the way, with wherever you're coming from and wherever you want to go.
Donna, anything to add to that?
I just want to say some general strategies that are really necessary for English learners, but are awesome for everyone and everyone needs them, are, things like, we call it comprehensible input. So basically, if you are not delivering as a teacher something in a way that students can understand, can comprehend, then you're not teaching them. So, if you see their faces are just, blank and they're not understanding you, or they're not paying attention to you or whatever, we need to change that. We need to do something that's going to enable them to come to what you're saying. So that's what it's all about. And so there are a lot of different techniques for that. I won't go into all of those right now. Join our program and then we'll teach you. But, other things like interaction, you can't learn a language or the content even well, I would say, without interaction with their peers and using that language. How are you going to learn a language if all you're doing is listening to someone lecture, and you're taking notes, or you're copying down from the board, or you're copying down now from the PowerPoint. We're going to be, all high tech, and we're going to have a PowerPoint, but we're still copying down the notes, right? They got to learn, they got to do, that's how they're going to learn. So those would be a couple of my main areas.
Yeah, we've all had the teachers, the Bueller, anybody, Ferris Bueller, I've sat through many of those classes, right? A lot. But okay, now Kyle and Perla, if you could go ahead, go.
Just really quick, one of the things that I've been able to add to my student teaching opportunity or experience has been visualization. And it's been something that has helped the entire classroom, just being able to visualize, and even art, like drawing for ELL students, but also for the rest of the kids in our classroom. I have found those two strategies to be very, very helpful for ELLs and the students, the regular students in the classroom that aren't ELLs. Those two things from the program have been so fun to use, especially for me too, as an artist and a very visual person. I find that it has been very helpful in the classroom as well. So sorry, I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. That was perfect. No, Kyle, anything that you would like to piggyback on what Perla said?
Yeah, absolutely. So where Perla's visual, I am physical. And so we would call that a tactile kinesthetic learning style. if you want to get into multiple intelligence and such.
Sure.
But so that means movement. And I think to me, that means more than just like a go noodle, although those are wonderful and fantastic. I think that movement, even just moving around the room, acting things out, using props, using drama, I think that those things are really powerful for English learners, as well as Pearl mentioned visualization, but I was thinking more as like guided meditation, mindfulness practices, and yoga, which incorporates both of those things. And I think that those are things that are becoming more prevalent in schools. And I know in JCPS, Jefferson County Public Schools, where I'm currently student teaching, those are things that are becoming very routine, but they're also for a lot of teachers becoming routine. And so I think that there isn't always a lot of passion or purpose behind it. And I think that to implement anything, you have to have both of those things. And so I think that for me, incorporating that movement, incorporating working with your hands, as well as the visual piece, as well as the interaction, as well as those opportunities through interaction to practice those language skills, I think that that is sort of the comprehensive approach that we need to be taking with English learners and all students. And I think that, unfortunately, as I mentioned before, I think that for a lot of teachers in a lot of schools in a lot of states and a lot of places, English learners don't get those, sort of touchy-feely things like mindfulness or like meditation or like yoga or things like art and visualization. I think we're so concerned with getting those kids to whatever the acceptable threshold is that we don't realize that they're not going to get to that place unless their social and emotional needs are taken care of. It's like the hierarchy of needs, right? Like you are not going to learn until you are safe, until you're comfortable, and until you're respected. And the other side of it is also like, it's just not going to happen if those things aren't present. And we're doing our kids a disservice if we're not providing those opportunities. And we're doing ourselves as educators and as like human beings and responsible citizens of the world, we are doing ourselves a disservice because we could be having so much more impact by incorporating those things in a way that is meaningful.
Wonderfully put. Wonderfully put. Yeah, Kyle, as a teacher in starting in the early 90s, I did meditation with my kids, and I had some parents who were like, what the heck are you doing? They just didn't get it. So, I had to educate as we went along. But yes, I think those are 100%. Perla and Kyle, what do you think about the directors of the program? Are they okay?
The directors are amazing. The directors are awesome. They all have a background story. They have been so supportive. You really have a lot to learn from them, definitely.
In the classroom, sometimes if we want to get excited, but we don't want to get the kids to do too loud, we do a silent cheer. So I'll do a silent chill for them. No, I agree with Perla. I think the word of the day with all of the faculty and the School of Education and IUS in general is supportive. I, like Perla, have kids. I'm coming back to school after a long time, like Perla. We actually bonded very early into the program because we had so many things in common. And we had a very similar sort of mission statement for ourselves. And the school has accommodated everything that I've needed without batting an eye. They've supported me every step of the way. And I think they've also supported, like I said, my sort of quote unquote mission statement. Everyone in the School of Education, at least that I have encountered, has been very socially justice oriented and equity minded, if that's an expression. And they have not only supported and encouraged me to focus all of my studying around equity and social justice. I felt very respected, and I felt like they wanted to mold me into the type of teacher that I wanted to mold myself into. And so I felt like I've been with very like-minded people who I felt respected me and treated me kindly. And Dr. Bernardo has talked me down off of several ledges now. And Dr. Johnson, who's the elementary program director, is wonderful and fantastic and has done the same thing. They've all managed my anxiety better than I have. And also shout out to Dr. Sandra Logren, who is our academic clinical educator, which she supervises us in our placements right now. And she's wonderful, and they're all wonderful, and I love them all so much. Mwah.
Well, Kyle, I feel the same way. I'm a graduate in the education program at IU Southeast, and I felt the same way. It's individualized. Faculty go out of their way to make you feel at home and to take your passion and help, as you said earlier, help you mold it into what you want to become, even though you may not know what you want to become yet. They're able to do that. Yes, Kelly, go ahead.
I was going to say that speaks exactly to my story, right? Because I started at the University of Kentucky as a new college freshman and learned very quickly that the big campus world was not for me. And I ended up at IU Southeast, and like you were just saying, the faculty who have since moved on and retired because I'm old, at that point still really embraced me and loved me and really supported me through what I didn't even know was going to turn into my passion at that point. So the opportunities, kind of small family environment, has really encouraged me and gotten me now to want to be a part of the faculty and be able to do that, for students going through now. So it just comes full circle. I completely agree with what Kyle shared.
Well, in closing, you guys, we've been rapping long enough, but if you are interested in the ENL program, Donna, Kelly, you want to give them just a little bit of information, who to reach out to. I'm an academic advisor for the School of Education, so you can reach out to me as well. But any insight on that, Donna?
Certainly, you can reach out to either me or Kelly, and we will guide you along the way, whether you're an undergraduate or a graduate or someone looking to come back and add this license. We will be here to help you. And I don't know that you really want me to spell out our email addresses, but
it's on you can come to our website and we'll have that. We may have that. We'll try and have a crawl on that, everybody. We'll see that down at the bottom in the notes. We'll have everybody's email address.
I do want to add one more thing, and Troy, this might need to be edited in, but I also want to add that we have an amazing group of adjunct professors that also work with our ENL program. So there's no way that Donna and I could run this show without our amazing group of adjuncts that have experience on both sides of the river, and really have decades of experiences working with English learners of all different levels. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention them and really the amazing work that they also pour into our students through their courses as well.
Absolutely.
And I want to add now, if you are a teacher, say you're a veteran teacher at a school, and if you feel other people are interested in ENL teaching and getting licensed, there are cohorts that are formed. I know Seymour has a cohort that brings down. So all you have to do is get in touch with the School of Education here at IUS. We'll try and have that number down at the bottom of the screen or in the notes. So all you do is reach out. But in closing, Kyle and Perla, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly recommend getting in touch with our faculty and our staff. Like I said, it's been a life-changing and personally fulfilling experience. I too, like Pearl, I feel like I've grown not only as an educator, as a person, as a citizen of the world. I'm a non-traditional student, so even if you are not on your first run of college or your second or your third or your fourth, you're welcome, and you'll be respected and appreciated and treated just like everybody else. And if that's not like a parallel to how we should treat our English learners, I don't know what one is. So I would want to say thank you to all of our faculty, and please reach out. We need more teachers in the field who are passionate and who are willing to do the work and construct the knowledge to support English learners.
Yes, and along with Kyle, definitely, if you're thinking about it, go for it, get some information. You're not going to regret it. And if you're not considering it, but now maybe considering it, do it. It's awesome. And like I said, I've learned a lot about just myself, and just to be a good person, and culture and language is such a good thing to just have on your list of who you are as a person. So definitely come in and check us out.
Well, thank you all. If you want to help change the world and make the world a better place, be sure to join the IUS School of Education. Reach out and we'll give you more information. Thank you all for joining us. Bye-bye.